Welcome to my channel, the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Asterisk, the desert was a living furnace, spreading endless waves of fire across the cracked ground. And Rylan felt every step like he was walking through the breath of a dying sun. His throat burning so badly that even swallowing felt like cutting himself from the inside. He had been wandering for 2 days without water, chased out of his scouting route by a sandstorm so violent it had blown him miles off course, spinning him into unknown land that humans warned each other never to enter. His vision blurred, the sky twisting into strange shapes, and every time he blinked, the world became darker. Heat pressed on his back like a giant hand trying to push him into the earth. His tongue felt thick, dry, and painful. Even breathing became a slow battle. Just when he thought his legs would collapse forever, he saw something through the shimmering haze, a massive hut built from dark metal bones, with glowing cloth hanging like giant banners around it. The shape looked unreal, like something drawn from a story only children believed. But for Rylan, it was hope, or at least something better than dying alone in the sand. He forced his body forward, crawling the last few meters, his fingers digging into the hot sand as if trying to hold on to life itself. At the door, he gathered the last breath he had and knocked once, twice, 3 times, each knock weaker than the last, as his body slumped against the metal. The ground trembled with heavy footsteps from inside, and a shadow spilled across him as the door opened. Standing there was a giantess, 3 times taller than any human, with golden eyes that glowed like molten fire and hair that flowed in long waves down her shoulders. She tilted her head as she looked down at him, and instead of concern, instead of kindness, instead of fear, she laughed a deep, rolling laugh that shook her entire chest and echoed across the desert wind. "Not my order," she said with a teasing smirk, bending down until her face was almost level with his. "I paid for the meaty one." Her words hit him harder than the sun, sending cold fear through his bones, even though her tone sounded more playful than murderous. Rylan tried to crawl back, his arms shaking, sand sticking to his skin, but the giantess stepped forward and blocked the sun with her shadow, as if she were closing a curtain over him. "Relax, little wanderer," she said, lightly pushing his shoulder with a single finger that felt like a shove from a boulder. "If I wanted to eat you, you'd already be on a spit turning over that fire pit inside." Her casual voice didn't make her words any less terrifying. Still, she lifted him up with surprising gentleness, carrying him inside as if he weighed no more than a toy. The inside of the hut was dark, warm, and full of strange glowing plants, enormous tools, and a massive cooking pit in the center that made Rylan's stomach twist with fear and imagination. She placed him on a stone seat and poured water from a stone jug into a bowl the size of his torso. "Drink," she said. He hesitated, and she raised an eyebrow. "If I wanted you dead, you'd be dead already." With shaking hands, he reached for the bowl and drank greedily, water spilling down his chin as life filled his body again. When he finally caught his breath, she leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching him with a strange curiosity. "Name's Mara," she said. "Hunter, collector, and sometimes eater of things." Rylan froze mid-breath. "Human things?" he whispered. She grinned, showing sharp teeth. "Only when they're fresh and fat. You? You're too dried out to be worth eating?" He wasn't sure if he should feel relieved or insulted. Mara explained that humans rarely survived in this region. Most wandered too far and were taken by creatures that looked like nightmares with teeth. "You're lucky I found you before they did," she said, stretching her massive arms. "Or unlucky. Depends how you see it." Every time Rylan asked a question, she replied with a teasing joke or a smirk, especially when she mentioned the meaty one she had actually ordered. "What do you mean by that?" he asked, She winked. You'll see soon enough. Her hut was filled with alien tools he couldn't recognize, some looking like weapons, others like traps. Something told him she wasn't just a hunter, she was something far more dangerous. Before he could ask more, the ground shook again. Not footsteps thunder. Mara instantly straightened, grabbing a massive spear from the wall. Stay behind me, she ordered, her voice suddenly serious and heavy. The shadows outside grew larger as snarls and growls filled the air. Something clawed at the door, metal screeching under its strength. Great, Mara muttered. They came early. Raylan's heart pounded, fear flooding through him. Who came? She didn't look at him. Remember the meaty order? Those creatures outside. They think I stole it. The door bent inward as something slammed into it, and Mara positioned herself in front of the broken entrance, spear raised like a giant warrior queen, ready for battle. Raylan tried to hide behind a stone counter, his breath shaking with fear. The door burst open, and 3 monstrous beasts charged in twice his height, covered in bone plates and black fur, their jaws lined with serrated teeth dripping with thick saliva. They roared, shaking the hut. Mara met the first creature in a flash, striking with her spear, pushing it back with sheer strength. The second creature lunged at Raylan, its claws scraping the floor, but in a burst of desperate courage, Raylan grabbed a fallen metal pan and smashed it into the creature's head. The beast shrieked and turned toward him, but Mara swung her spear and cut it down before it could reach him. Little human has fight, she growled with a surprised grin. The third creature circled Mara, but Raylan shouted a warning, distracting it long enough for Mara to leap forward, grab its neck, twist, and snap its spine. Finally, the hut fell quiet, except for the sound of heavy breathing and the slow drip of monster blood on the metal floor. Mara set down her spear, wiping her brow. Those beasts were the delivery, she said. I paid someone to bring me one strong specimen. I planned to kill it because it hunts humans in the night. Raylan blinked, shocked. You protect humans? She shrugged. Sometimes. Mostly when they amuse me. She cleaned the spear with a cloth the size of a curtain and sat down, looking at him with a new sort of interest. You fought well. I expected you to faint or scream. But you didn't. Raylan didn't know how to answer. He was still shaking. Mara let out a small laugh, a softer one this time. Fine, I owe you a life debt. And a giantess life debt is something very big. She walked to a side door and pushed it open. A glowing valley stretched out, filled with strange blue trees and bright floating lights. Come, little wanderer, she said. Let's get you home. The desert is not done with you yet, and neither is fate. And trust me, the universe has much bigger plans for you than dying at my doorstep. If you enjoyed this story, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us for more powerful HFY sci-fi adventures that will keep you hooked from the first second to the last.